Okay, it's 10 after. Why don't we go ahead and start, and then Rich, Tim, and I, after you start, can help keep an eye on the participants list and add more as they come. Welcome everybody in the community of Lawrence. My name is Stuart Gary. I'm the Public Safety Principal for CityGate Associates and the team leader on this session. This is a public at large input session to our police study. As you know, Lawrence has engaged CityGate Associates to conduct an outside, neutral, and very comprehensive evaluation of everything that is Lawrence policing. And it's data-driven internally as to all aspects of the police department's operations. It's external in terms of the community services as is today, and what the community and its commission as a reflection of the community wants police services to evolve into in these times in the United States. Part of this project is just listening, us just listening as a team to the perceptions of the Lawrence community. We're not today testing possible recommendations. We're still deeply going through the police department data and the city issues and allied cooperating partners like mental health care agencies, the county, et cetera. We're still very much in the input phase. So we really value your time today. With me are Richard Ward and Dr. Lauren Brown on the CityGate team. They're going to co-facilitate the listening. In addition to thanking you for your time, I want to remind everybody this meeting is being recorded. This is a public session, and we would respectfully request the same decorum as you would show when testifying at a city commission meeting. And these video files will be made available on the city's YouTube site to encourage other members of the public to speak up. I don't want that to sound constraining. We are not wallflowers. This is not our first rodeo, and we want passion. We want to know about your interactions with Lawrence Police. We want to know about your aspirations for improving policing in the city of Lawrence. And so passion comes with that. Don't be shy. Just remember you're on tape, and if you say it, you own it. That's all. With that, Chief Ward, I'd like to have you introduce yourself and Dr. Brown and take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stu. Good evening, everyone. My pleasure to be here. My name is Richard Ward. I'm a retired police chief out of California. I worked in 2 agencies here, 3 actually. One is an interim police chief, and I've been a teacher, and I've been with CityGate less than a year. And so we're excited to work with the city of Lawrence and to kind of examine their police department. Before I go over some ground rules, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Dr. Lauren Brown, so she can introduce herself.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Brown. I am also a new CityGate associate and part of the team here today conducting this study. My career has been in social equity, justice, and serving underrepresented populations as a staff member, as a researcher, and as a college professor. And I'm happy to be here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Just some ground rules before we start. If you would, before you jump in and speak, of course, use your mic, mute your mics, I'm sorry. If you would, and then use the raise your hand feature. You'll see that at the bottom of your screen under reactions, at that reactions, a smiley face on your screens. Use the raise your hand feature and I'll call upon you. We're going to have 4 discussion areas. I'll present those, and I'd like to give each participant no more than 5 minutes in this first pass, as we take statements, take some testimony, if you will. And then given time, we'll probably we'll give you more time. We'll afford each of you more time after those first 5 minutes. I'll probably call on those who did not participate first. We had a similar public meeting on Saturday. For those who did not participate on Saturday, I'll look to you to weigh in and give us your thoughts about the Lawrence Police Department. So with that said, I'll start with the 4 areas, and they're these. So please think about these and give us at least a good 5 minutes of your thoughts. The experiences you may have had with the Lawrence Police, what were those like? Secondly, the essential services that Lawrence PD should provide. You know, there's been talk across the country of reforming and reimagining and defunding police. We want to know what you think in terms of what services need to remain. They are essential for Lawrence Police to continue to provide. And then thirdly, there are future programs that need to be added to Lawrence or shifted to and done possibly with other community groups or done entirely by other outside allied groups. So think about that. The future services and or programs that need to be added to Lawrence PD or shifted to other community-based organizations or groups. Or maybe there's some combination there of where they work together. And then lastly, your aspirations for the future of policing in Lawrence. What does that look like? If you could paint this vision of your preferred police department, what would it look like? What are the components of that? So please raise your hand and I'll call on you. I'll acknowledge those hands I do see go up, but I'll try to go in order. If I go out of order, excuse me, I'm trying to keep track. I'm not a Zoom expert, at least not yet. Slowly becoming one. Anyone, please raise your hand and we'll get started. I see Brandon. Yes, sir.
Yes, Rich, sorry, just real quick, I wanted to make one more note to our introductory comments, just to acknowledge that we do have members of our city commission and our community police review board and human relations commission. We have invited them to participate in a listening role for these meetings. So they will not be, just for the members of the public who see them on, they will not be engaging in discussion, but they are definitely here listening and interested in your feedback as well.
Thank you. And welcome, our elected officials. Any comments? Again, the experiences, future programs that might be added to or shifted from the police department or done in conjunction with some community-based groups. The essential services that the department should keep. I see Chris Anderson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Chris, please go ahead.
Great. My name is Chris. My name is Chris Anderson. I'm a 20-year resident of Lawrence. I work for KU. I'm going to weigh in on number 2, the essential services. I think that the Lawrence PD should reinvest in more moving traffic violation enforcement. There has been, according to statistics I've read in the Lawrence Journal World, there was a substantial decline in the number of moving violations that were cited in the city of Lawrence by the Lawrence PD and other law enforcement over the last several years. I have noticed an increase in minor traffic violations, like people running red lights, speeding on all of our roads, going through stop signs, going out of turn on four-way stops, and other aspects of simply just moving traffic violations that endanger people. And there's been a marked drop in moving violations that have been cited by the city. I think it's led to a deterioration of safety on the streets and a sense of lawlessness and promoted unsafe driving. So I would like to see the Lawrence PD spend more time on the streets, observing traffic and writing tickets for people who are guilty of moving violations.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Any other comments? Either 4 topics. Please don't be, as Stu said, don't be bashful. No one on those, anything yet? Chris, you have an additional comment? Is that?
Yeah, I guess I'd add, in terms of the future of policing or other essential services, again, there was a time, maybe a decade ago, when there was an emphasis placed on having more police members on foot or on bicycles in the downtown area. And in my observation, I'm not down there during troubled times like bar closings and things like that to know what their presence is at that time. That's not my lifestyle. But at other times in the downtown area, I don't frequently see police on foot or on bicycles interacting with the public on Massachusetts Street or other high pedestrian traffic areas. And I think having the police out in the community, moving amongst people on foot is something that they should be doing to promote good relations and to, foster an atmosphere that the police are here and they're part of our lives in prominent areas like Massachusetts Street.
Thank you again. Any other comments, questions, clarification? Service experiences, the essential services again, future programs. Think not just about the current, excuse me, my little dog too, current Lawrence PD, but the future of Lawrence and aspirations for the future. So don't limit your thinking again to what you see today, but think ahead too. I'll go to Marcia M. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad we can Zoom, because if it was a meeting downtown, I probably wouldn't be there. But I've lived in Lawrence over 50 years, had very little contact with the police. I do know some police officers over the years, but most of those are retired now. But my concern is, and maybe it's being dealt with, I don't know, is the CIT training for officers. And I really don't know what the CIT is, but I know it has to do with mental health. And that is one of my concerns, is that we always deal with mental health and that our officers be trained to deal with those kind of people in a gentle and caring way.
Thank you. That's been a topic we've heard in other groups and other meetings too. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Again, any other comments? The future of Lawrence, current experiences, existing essential services that you believe the department should continue to do? Or maybe if they're not doing something that you find essential, you can explain what that is. No other takers? I'll add that a part of our work, we're not only listening to community leaders and other stakeholders and some of our elected officials locally, we're meeting with members of the department. We're collecting a lot of data and documents from them and from the city. To your point, Mr. Anderson, about traffic enforcement, that's an area too. We're looking at traffic data, the arrests, all of those indicators of what police officers in Lawrence are doing. Calls for service is a big thing that we're looking at. So we're taking that in conjunction with what we're listening to, what we're hearing from the community. And then we do a gap analysis. We look at where are there gaps? What's missing? Is there a disconnect between what we're hearing versus what the officers and what the data show? So just to give you a kind of some insight into what our work entails.
I want to thank you all for your time. I'm going to leave. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good evening. No other comments, questions for us? You may have a concern outside of those areas I discussed. Don't limit your comments to those. So if you have a concern or comment or some feedback input for us outside of those 4 topical areas, let us know that too.
Richard, I see you just admitted one new participant to the waiting room. I was going to ask Brandon if there's not ongoing testimony, it's only 27 minutes after the hour. We maybe stay on at least till half past the hour or 3/4 past the hour, just to give any late attendees a shot. But at some point, if we don't accrue new attendees, we may need to end early. Just an observation right now. Oh, here's another 2 newcomers.
Yes, and City Commissioner Larson is one who just joined us as well. I can see on my screen that we have Marcia and Sherilyn and I believe Nancy as well, who was just admitted. And the rest of our attendees on the meeting are with our appointed boards or elected boards or with the media. So I know that we had several more people, several more community members sign up to participate this evening. And I saw some more of them on earlier, but it appears that maybe they hopped off the meeting shortly after it started. So I would maybe just see if Sherilyn or Nancy would like to engage, but Rich, I'll turn it back over to you to maybe reframe the prompts, the discussion prompts.
Yeah, for those who have just jumped on and joined our Zoom meeting, I posed 4 questions, if you will, topic areas for this meeting, and there are your experiences with the Lawrence Police being one, the services you believe are essential for the Lawrence Police to continue to provide, or 2, and then thirdly, future programs that you believe might be added to Lawrence PD or shifted from the department and provided by some other organization, some other community-based service. And then fourthly, the future. How do you, the aspirations, if you could aspire to what, if Lawrence PD could aspire to what you would imagine it to be, what you would hope it to be, what would that look like? So those are the areas. Feel free to give us 5 minutes. I'm getting a dog attack here. I'm sorry for that. Give us your, I'm gonna mute my. Any comments, questions? And again, don't limit yourself to those areas if you have some other comments or experiences with the department. I think those are essential and important for us to hear too. Must be a Kansas Jayhawks basketball game tonight. Maybe that's it, huh?
Yes, unfortunately, they did end up scheduling one at the last moment.
Well, it looks like Chad is joining us.
Yeah. If you have a comment on the Lawrence Police, I know you just jumped on Mr. Steele, but if you have a comment on the Lawrence Police around their experiences, your experiences with them, programs you believe they should add or maybe be taken away from them, essential services, and then aspirations for the future, what you would aspire the police department to be, to look like. Those are the questions, those are the issues we're looking for, but we're not going to limit the group to those four. If there's some other areas relative to the police department that you believe are important that should be heard tonight, please let us know what those are. Please speak to those. And just use the raise your hand feature if you would. I'd say mute your mic, but no one's speaking. So.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, please.
Hi, my name's Chad Steele. I'm a longtime Lawrence resident. Just wanted to talk for a second. I don't know if anyone's mentioned the benchmark survey. So the City of Lawrence Police already participates in a survey of what they compares data on 30 different cities. It was started by Overland Park nearby in Kansas City a few years ago as a way to compare similar cities, cities that are like desirable. I think the criteria were like they have a AAA bond rating, located on interstate highway. They usually have a university, and they frequently appear on a list of places people want to live or travel to, so that you don't have to compare Lawrence to Topeka or Wichita, places that pretty terrible. So yeah, like in I think it was 2014, I started reading the benchmark survey when there was like a vote we were having, and at a city meeting, I asked the police chief at the time, Tariq Khatib, about what the clearance rate in Lawrence. The clearance rate in 2012 for rape. Clearance, I guess, is if someone's arrested after the crime is reported. The clearance rate was 9.3%. So like 9 out of 10 rapists were not arrested when it was reported in Lawrence that year. And at the same year, the clearance rate in Overland Park was 100%. So they arrested someone. It's not conviction, but they put someone in handcuffs, took them to jail every time someone reported being raped by them. And we were the lowest by far, like 9.3% sounds insane. So I asked him about this at a meeting. I think there were city commissioners there, and he lied. He said that the figure was wrong and that something was off and that he would change it, or it was incorrect. But then it never changed. So the data, it turns out, it's what the police department reports to the FBI crime statistics. So it's accurate. Like that really happened in 2012. Only 9.3% of rapists were even arrested. And that's not convictions. So yeah, I'd like to, for the city, like commission and the city manager to actually use the benchmark report survey like it's, intended to make decisions on the policing, for everything. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages of data in it comparing us to similar cities. So when there's like a city commission meeting and the police chief or someone shows up from the police department and says they need this or this is that way or whatnot, they should really not take that sort of anecdotal information, like which, the way they've done things for a long time. They should really be using this benchmark survey to make decisions instead of relying on the information from the police department. Because I don't know, I'm still pretty shocked that the police chief lied to my face in front of the city commission and everything. Yeah. So I don't know. I think like it's also kind of indicative. I've lived in Lawrence for a long time. My family's from here. We've been our farm is under Clinton Lake and all that good stuff. But every time I've reported a crime to the Lawrence Police Department, they always have like an excuse to not act on it. So they're like too busy, or they incorrectly lied to me and told me that the city statute says if a dog bites my dog has to have blood on it or some nonsense. So I've been lied to, and I've talked to other people who've reported even serious crimes like burglaries and whatnot, or being attacked, and it's always the same. They're never taken serious. The police always have some sort of like they don't have time for this attitude. And then if you insist that they do their job, then they start to accuse you of things. So search your house for alcohol, or marijuana or whatnot. So if you report a burglary, and so yeah, I feel like if you interviewed people who have reported crimes to the Lawrence Police Department, that would probably have some good information in it, like a satisfaction survey. Yeah, and then I really feel like we're talking about the policing priorities, like the clearance rate. Like I don't know why this isn't it. This should be like the priority. Like when serious crimes are reported, like rapes or murder or sexual assault, like that should be solved. Someone should be arrested and taken to jail. Like that's your job. So if 9 out of 10 rapes in Lawrence are not acted on in any way, and rapists walk the streets, like that's totally a failure. Like that's their job. That's all this other stuff, the community policing and what people think about them. I don't think that's not as important. Like we should really look at, we have the data. It shows they are not doing their most fundamental job. And then we know that they're aware of this, and they resist any suggestion that they aren't doing their job. I don't know why there isn't more talk about the last police chief. We already know this. We already voted a new city commission in. They hired an outside police chief, a man of color from Memphis. Chief Burns was supposed to come from the outside and change the Golden Boy infrastructure and problems we're having. And the police fired him. They fired their own boss, and he's kind of was forced out of town. So I don't know why that's not really being talked about. It seems like kind of important, but it's not a thing. So I don't know. Yeah. Thanks for listening to me, and yeah.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments, input for?
Hey, Rich, could I ask Chad? Chad,
Yeah.
Are you still there? Could I ask Chad a quick follow-up question if he's still available?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for the input. And other members of my team are doing this incident statistics deep dive over several recent years. Some of what you spoke to now, the recent police chief issue, we understand. But some of the personal experiences you yourself and some of your friends have had, would you say that's current to less than 3 to 5 years, or do some of those recollections expand over, let's say, a decade? Because we've got their existing training policies, right? We've got their existing things and data, and I'm trying to match legacy observations versus things I can go find in the data set in the last 3 years.
Yes, this is absolutely current. So try not to self-disclose too much. Yesterday, my partner reported a serious crime to the police, and I told someone at the time that they would do the same thing they do when my bike was stolen. So they don't have time. It's not serious. Just kind of spin things around, and then if you insist, then to say something insulting and try to say they're going to investigate you, there'll be consequences. This happened yesterday, and we're trying to work through that. Trying not to, sorry, not to self-disclose too much, but and this has gone on for, I don't know. I'm from Lawrence, so as long as I can remember. Yeah, and I definitely think we know there's a huge problem. They train their everything in house. If the training is bad, we know it's bad. There's data is bad. People say it's bad. You have someone shoot someone in the back thinking they're grabbing their taser. The police department should really acknowledge this and say admit it. But I think it's ridiculous they don't train at the state police training department or whatever, like every other city our size and whatnot. So yeah.
Thank you. I
Sorry, that answers your question.
It does, and furthermore, because I don't want you quote in public like this, but if you would be so kind, there is a project email, and if you do have anything more specific as to, hey, this week, this month at the 100 block of Acme Street, one of these occurrences happened. It just helps us to, again, forensically chase a few threads down from the anecdotal listening to something more specific. And that's
going to be super hard. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you've got other anecdotal but somewhat self-disclosing information, don't do it here. Send us an email.
Right. I was going to say, everything about this is broken, and they're totally aware that it's broken. I mean, the complaints procedure, whatnot. I don't know if someone had pointed out to someone in the city commission that if you went to the police department website to make a complaint, you clicked make a complaint, and it brought you to a page to make a compliment to them. And you had to scroll through making an online compliment to them for all they do. And then you could get down, and then to make a complaint, you had to print it off, your complaint, and bring it in person to the police department, or they'd be interviewed multiple times. And then, the complaint process, I don't know if you guys are familiar yet, but it's a sort of a secret committee rubber stamp. And for years and years, we had this criminal justice council, whatnot, where they would have these meetings with the police chief and a bunch of, other police officers and people who meant well. And they would just read, this sheet of paper off saying, officer accused, charge dismissed. There was nothing on it. It went on for years. So they're fully aware that they're they're insulated from all consequences, and the people of the city don't have any ability to change how they do things. They have they come up with these criminal justice coordinating council or these rubber stamps. Do nothing commissions, and then when people elect a new city commission who's supposed to be the boss of the police department, they hire someone, and the police department, the police officers, fire them. It doesn't make any sense. There's no, the inmates are running the asylum or whatnot. I don't know. So yeah, that's why I feel like a lot of people are giving you guys a lot of hell. So yeah. But
thank you.
This is kind of what you're approaching.
We do hear you on the issues, and several of the things you just mentioned are within our purview that we're researching also. But thank you for reinforcing it and being sure we're looking at all of the issues, not just the easy ones. So
yeah.
Thank you very much. Brandon, I'm assuming no additional members of the public have wandered into your facility.
That is correct.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
hi. My name's Nancy Stark. I don't currently live in Lawrence, but I grew up in Lawrence, and my plan is to retire there. I'm actually currently living out on the West Coast and kind of stuck here because of COVID. But I own a little house on Louisiana Street in Old West Lawrence. And I lived in Lawrence from 2014 to 2018. And I'm also a mental health provider who worked at Burt Nash and at KU while I was in Lawrence. I have a couple of questions. I came in late, so I'm not sure who everybody is. But I guess the thing that's most on my mind, I just watched a PBS special called Peace Officer about some situations that resulted in police shooting and killing someone in Utah. And one of the things that really struck me from that really good program was how much free militarized equipment local police departments have been given by the military. And I wanted to know if that's true of the Lawrence Police Department, and kind of whether there's any move to reduce that or get rid of it altogether. So that's one of my questions. And then I have some others that may be pretty out of date because, like I said, I haven't lived in Lawrence since fall of 2018, although I do have a lot of Facebook friends that I do keep in touch with what's going on there. And my little house that I own is rented and stuff. So I do try to stay current, but yeah, that's, I guess, the question right now that's uppermost in my mind. Thanks.
That's an issue, Ms. Stark, that's come up that I don't know if we have the answer to, but I've taken a note of that. The military equipment we've seen, there has been an increase. I don't know if it has been recently across the country of surplus equipment departments have gotten and received. I don't know the status of that in Lawrence, but we'll look into that. It's a great point.
I was going to say, Nancy, since you started late, this is a public input session. We're not yet discussing draft findings or opinions, but we're just gathering perceptions and needs to be sure we're looking at all the right avenues of policing. And what you've mentioned is on the standard list of issues that we're gathering information on with the rest of the team. And is of concern across America if you look at many of the recent policing studies and a conversation on policing in America. Excuse my furry friend here who just woke up from a nap. It's the whole physical presence.
Whenever I do a Zoom meeting, my cat thinks everybody's talking to her.
Well, mine likes my voice. So the orange tabby's part of the Citygate team, but we hear your comments and they'll be researched also. And your comments are in line with other contemporary conversations on policing in America, and they have to be addressed. So thank you very much. I just want to let you know, we're not so much conversing back today because we're still in the research and listening mode and aren't going to prematurely offer opinions on one or two things until we understand the full context.
For those who haven't participated, that are not just listening, please feel free to weigh in. Again, the essential services of the Lawrence Police, what should they keep or what should they be doing in your view? What have been your experiences with Lawrence Police? Thirdly, what are the future programs that Lawrence what might be taken from the department or added to the department, or the department might consider doing in conjunction with some other community-based service provider? And then the aspirations for the future of policing in Lawrence. What should that look like? What should the department look like? What should the department be doing in the years to come? Anyone? I know Miss Wells, I think you spoke Saturday. If you have any comments, I don't. You're still there.
I mean, no one else is gonna say. Yeah, I do have a few points. It's yeah, I have a lot. I can talk for a bit. But I really feel like when they talk about priorities and staffing, things like that, it is to be said that the city is like really overstaffed for police. I know that they constantly go to the city commission meetings and say they need, they're understaffed and whatnot. But in Lawrence, we have the city police. You have the University of Kansas, the campus police. And we also have the sheriff's department, and then the highway patrol. If you drive around Lawrence for any amount of time, you'll notice a lot more police officers just everywhere. Not really doing anything, but they're there, and totally different than if you go to Johnson County or the other, the other benchmark cities that you can travel to easily, or to travel anywhere else. There's a lot of cops in Lawrence, so this whole understaffing response time statistic thing is, I feel like skewed. If you look at the benchmark survey as well, you'll see that the Lawrence police have a policy of sending a police officer to non-crime. We call 911 because you broke your arm or something like that. They'll send a police officer first to secure the area or something. They don't provide first aid, but they show up and they'll still arrest you if you have pot on you or something like that. I feel like that occupies a huge amount of their time, and it's in the benchmark survey for the five biggest things they respond to. They're non-criminal, non-emergency calls. I feel like that should be addressed. Like if they stop that, like if you didn't send a police officer to a non-criminal emergency call, that could they could prioritize something else. And then really, I feel like the priorities are skewed, like bike theft. Like they had officers that just worked on bike theft. I've had, growing up in Lawrence, and even recently, people steal bikes all the time. They have they're pretty sophisticated. They cut off the locks with all these saws and whatnot. And you can find your bike if you try hard. If you go to the different pawn shops and whatnot, and you look on Craigslist. And I've recovered a stolen bike, a bike that I reported stolen from a pawn shop in Lawrence, and the police officer just took my photo with the bike, and that was it. They didn't arrest the person who sold them the bike. They didn't charge the pawn shop for possessing stolen goods, even though this is endemic. I think if you talk to everyone who's owns a bike in Lawrence, they've had it stolen. And then if you report it stolen, they write the report, they give you the runaround, they don't have time for it. Also, when I was younger, there was a bike registration program where they would, you pay them like 50 cents, and they give you a sticker, you stick it on your bike, and you can look it up. And they stopped that at some point. It didn't make any sense. I don't know why they decided to stop it, but that was odd. And then there's also if you look in the benchmark report, it's stolen goods that are returned to people. So there's statistics on it, and it was like an average year, something like 30,000 recovered stolen items, and then like 70 or something insane are returned to their owners. So like they complained the last few years that they don't have enough warehouse space because they have all these recovered stolen things. But years and years ago, when I was younger, I remember the city used to auction off the unclaimed recovered stolen bikes, and it was a good way to get a cheap bike that was nice, whatnot. The city would do it, and it was at the utility building and whatnot. And then under Tariq Khatib, he did what a bunch of other police departments do, where they joined this scammy eBay ripoff kind of site called, I can't recall what it is, but basically it's a company that caters to law enforcement agencies and sells their auctionable goods online. But if you go to it, it's some kind of a racket. Like everything has like a huge shipping fee. Obviously, you're getting a bike through the mail, and there's tons of complaints about it. And you never see anything in Lawrence posted on there. So if they could just go back to auctioning off in Lawrence to people that live in Lawrence, that would be pretty great. So yeah. Let's see what else. Priorities. Like I feel like the priorities are skewed, and it's not what they present to the city commission. Several years ago, they made a big case about we don't have a police dog, and so if there's a bomb, we have to call Overland Park or Topeka to get their bomb dog and have come down. And so we had to have these new police dogs, even though Lawrence had never had them previously. And then, they made the cases life or death, and it's going to save lives and all this. And then so we got these two police dogs and whatnot, and they're pretty much just used for drug interdictions. I think it's like an obvious priority that they don't state to the city commission, is that drug interdictions are that's all they're doing. If you look at the benchmark survey, it's pulling people over, DUIs, and trying to get people driving around with drugs, and that's what the dogs are used for, in conjunction with the highway patrol. It's been posted in the news and whatnot. But it seems like the Lawrence Police Department is a DUI department. Like that's pretty much all they do. If you look at the data, that's most of what's going on. It's pulling people over for DUIs, minor traffic violations, and if you talk to any of the few Black people that still live in Lawrence, you're constantly being pulled over. We've had to do all this nonsense and whatnot because the police couldn't track the race of the people that they pulled over, but we could track them at the jail. So we're finally going to get a survey of that at some point. But it's super overt. I mean, it's the most overt racial profiling I think you'll see anywhere. Black people are consistently pulled over in Lawrence for non-moving violations. Your license plate light is not on. You didn't signal long enough before you turned. Things like that. And then once they're pulled over, it's really just a fishing expedition to see if you can find marijuana on them or if they've had any alcohol that day. So I feel like that's their de facto priority. That's all I see them do. It seems to be really what they go to town on. You see that statistically, anecdotally, and then firsthand experience. So I feel like we should just say that.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Appreciate your comments. Any other comments from the group? We're probably going to adjourn sooner rather than later, given the lack of comments. Any other comments? Closing comments? And please use the raise your hand.
Oh, okay, Nancy again. I'll do two. And again, I may be really out of date. I was working at Burt Nash when Eunice Ruttinger retired, and she was the amazing clinician there who pioneered the trainings for the Lawrence Police on mental health emergencies. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. program. But with all the back and forth that's happened around the jail expansion and kind of using the need for better mental health care as a way to get people to, coupling it with the jail expansion so that you couldn't get the one without the other, which I did not agree with. But anyway, I wonder what the state is of the training of the Lawrence Police for mental health, and whether that's being done through Bert Nash the way it was originally when Eunice was there. And I also think that's a bigger issue than just a Lawrence issue because of the, many places in the country that have tried to come up with alternatives to be sure that mental health emergencies are being dealt with in the best possible way. So I guess that's to me, a big ongoing issue of how the, city and county are going to fund and staff mental health treatment, and what's the relationship between the police department and the need for, emergent mental health services. So again, I just put it out there as an issue. And then my last issue is the last time anyway, that I attended a city council meeting where there was a community police review board. It seemed, and this was probably 2017. So again, I know I'm out of date, but I wonder sort of what the state is of the community review board and the community review board process. What really jumped out at me as someone who, knows something about psychiatric emergencies from my long work in that, in community health. It seemed like the community review board didn't have the necessary sort of subpoena powers or enforcement powers to even get the most basic information about what the police department was doing. It seemed like woefully not underfunded so much as not given any teeth so that it really could operate to even get basic information about things that were happening. And so I guess for me, that's another issue. And again, I may be out of date, but for me, that's another issue that's kind of an ongoing, longstanding process that I would really like to see, beefed up and made to be real and not just window dressing. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any other closing comments before we do close? Appreciate your time, all of those who participated. Can you just take a quick minute, Mr. Steele?
Yeah. I first, I'd like to say there's a problem with the Lawrence Police Department with overt racism. It's overt. It's not this unconscious bias, whatnot, and it really needs to be pointed out. It's overt. The people that work there are aware of it. The Black people are targeted in Lawrence. And then I just point to, especially, there was an incident a couple years ago where the city police had a training on unconscious bias, racial sensitivity, run by an outside organization. And in that training, the some officer, they won't say who or whatnot, ran the names of the trainers for warrants and then arrested an African-American woman in the middle of a training on unconscious bias for like a shoplifting warrant from several years ago. So this is overt racism that they're aware of, and they're allowed to just sort of regulate themselves and not address the issue. So yeah, I just like to point that out and have that stated on Black Lives Matter and all that good stuff. So yeah, thanks, and thanks for letting me talk so much. Sorry, just bogged the mic and whatnot. Have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good night. I don't see any other hands.
Brandon, I think it's all yours then.
Yes, thanks, Stu. Thanks, Rich, and thank you, Dr. Brown. Brandon McGuire, Assistant City Manager. Again, I just want to thank everybody who took time this evening to join us and provide their feedback to our consultants with Citygate Associates. This was the second of our general public engagement sessions, and it is just one component of a much broader public engagement process. Stu mentioned at one point that there is a project website, and that's easily retrievable through a Google search for Lawrence, Kansas Police Study. So I would encourage everybody to visit that website and check in from time to time on that. There's additional opportunities through phone and through email to contact the consultants and give them additional input. And then we'll also try to update that project website with any different schedule announcements or developments with the project. And as we start receiving reports from the consultant, I think that that'll be a good venue for presenting those and making sure that those are all consolidated in one location for people from the community who are following this study. So again, thank you to all of our community members. Thank you to our media members, and also for our elected and appointed officials who have joined us this evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.